Welcome back to the race course. 2 weeks ago I was very doubtful if anyone would be interested in my attempts to score some points in the local crit series. But that video became my greatest hit, so here's part 2 of racing on 40mm road tires. For the thousands of new viewers on my channel, I'll briefly cover what I'm riding here and why. For those who want all the details, I've also created playlists with all my videos about this frame and these very special wheels. It all started out with the GR1 gravel frame that I built up with the zero offset seat post and Zephyr cockpit from Quick's road bikes. Then I found the BTLOS WRMC 64 wheels, which combine a super deep rim section with an internal width of 32mm. I put on Continental GP5000 STR in 35mm and they inflate to 40.5mm. That results in a super clean rim to tire transition, and in a controlled aero test at 35 km per hour, this was slightly faster than my 30mm setup. And to make the road bike transition complete, I've put on a 52-tooth chainring from Stone. I've never claimed that this is the best setup for all riders in all conditions. I just wanted to confirm that for my everyday riding I can achieve a completely new level of comfort without sacrificing performance. And I think I did that, but it would still be nice to finish off this little experiment with a race result. Some questions that come up all the time. Is it safe? Well, it's completely out of ETRTO specifications, but if you want a wide and aerodynamic setup, there currently is no way to comply. I've been riding this for 1,000 kilometers now without any issues, but of course that's no guarantee, so you have to decide for yourself. Do I feel the additional weight? No, because there's none. The BTLOS wheels are so light that they more than compensate for the slightly heavier tires, and even if they were not, I highly doubt that I could feel 80 grams of additional weight. How's the handling? Just like with regular road tires. I've ridden 30mm and 40mm tires back to back in this frame, and apart from the increased comfort, there isn't really a difference. A few people seem to project their negative experiences with wide tires onto this setup, but you have to keep in mind that the 35mm GP5000 is in a league of its own. There currently is nothing that comes close in performance at similar dimensions, so you cannot really compare your experiences with other tires to this. Today I'm riding this simply because right now it's my favorite bike. That might change soon because thanks to your support some doors have opened for me, but as of now this is lighter than my road bike, has better brakes, and the tires give me a lot of confidence, so let's get that race result. Same race format as last time, 15 laps with 5, 3, 2 and 1 points awarded every 3 laps and double points on the final lap. And remember, this is the lowest category around here, so beginner mistakes will be made. I learned from the last race, didn't miss the lineup and secured a spot right at the front. If you're wondering, 120 BPM isn't my resting heart rate, there was a pre-lineup followed by a little sprint for the actual lineup. I also managed to clip in right away, saving a huge effort compared to last time. This is the series finale and the team in white moving up on the right is riding for the current GC leader. They immediately set a hard pace, so starting up front paid off instantly. Due to other races happening at the same time, the field is reduced to only 54 riders, which makes everything a lot smoother. But all the GC riders are here and there are multiple teams with 4 riders or more. I only have Jan here in front of me with number 137, but he's probably one of the strongest riders in the field. Certainly much stronger than I am, except for maybe 30-second power, so we're basically like Timo van der Poel and Philipsen. After the lead-out disaster last time, we even talked tactics and practiced the attack into corner number 3. So I have the strongest lead-out, I've overcome my illness, I've slept really well, and because of that I'm in a whole other headspace this time. It's one of those days where you just know your legs are great and everything feels easy. I even find the time to compliment Anton over here on his Nero suit. And then I tell Jan to skip the first preem because I feel the field is way too hot and we don't need to spend energy against fresh lead-out trains. A little touch of wheels here in front of me, so I leave a safety gap and take it very easy in the second half of the field. Going into the first sprint, the field is stretched out in a long line, but I gamble that everything will come back together and that the GC teams won't let any attacks go. So I take another easy lap, even drop my heart rate to 150, and then it's time to get into position for preem number 2. That's when I see 3 guys from the same team attacking together. I panic for a second, but just as Jan gets ready to chase, the whole thing falls apart. I think they dropped their own rider and couldn't decide whether to wait or not. Anyway, I decide to use the momentum to position us for a clean line into the bottleneck of the course. Notice how Jan doesn't stop pedaling and gains a bike length on me through every corner. That's something I have to work on. Just as the bell rings, I spot an attack over my left shoulder, I shout and Jan is immediately on it. We go into the corner really well positioned. I feel that the field behind has stalled a little, so I call for an early attack.
Bin da! Zieh, komm!
I'm pushing 600 watts in the backseat, so you can imagine what he's doing at the front. And when I look over my shoulder, I'm surprised to see that no one followed.
Hab ne Lücke, go! Lücke! Immer noch Lücke!
I tell him to keep opening the gap, and behind us G2 syndrome kicks in hard. So hard that I say easy, easy, because we've already won this.
Easy, easy!
Again, he's gaining on me in the corner, but he looks back and waits for me right away.
Jawohl!
Here I'm already celebrating a little bit.
Bin da!
And when he flicks his elbow, I pretend to do a little sprint so it looks like I contributed to this as well, but I probably could have just rolled across the line. What an effort, and my first 5 points of the season. It takes the field over a minute to get back, so there's time to wave to the camera and recover. Taking a sip from the Pandapodium Aero bottle here, and I have to say they work really well on the bike. Filling them up with carbs though is a little inconvenient because of the small opening and because they won't stand on their own. I decide to skip the next preem, so now I have a few laps with nothing to do. By now it's over 30 degrees Celsius again and no one is too eager to pick up the pace. Also, the field has been reduced quite a bit, so even when sitting at the back I can still see what's happening at the front. I sit out the sprint but start moving up right after because the field is tired and a lot of riders are trying their luck. Here a group of 5 tries to get away, but they don't cooperate very well and are caught just half a lap later on the back straight. I managed to stay at the front without any hard efforts, and as the bell rings my heart rate is still below 160. But on the uphill I feel a little boxed in and I'm not happy with my inside position. So to avoid being blocked in the deciding moments I quickly teleport to the front. There I close off the right side, looking over my left shoulder like a track sprinter ready to jump on any attack. But no one's jumping. Instead, the GC Leaders team picks up the pace again and lets me slot in. That's fair, I guess. I'm a big guy and make for a good draft, and now I'll probably be in the wind too early. But then something weird happens. A second white jersey jumps their own train and in the process gets their own sprinter. I say thank you and I'm right on it. I still don't know what the plan was, maybe just miscommunication or their sprinter wanted someone else to take points away. In any case, I'm just cruising here in second place without having to do any work. If he'd pulled off here, I would be dead in the wind, but he takes me all the way to the line. I give it one little 1400 watt kick, see that no one can follow and start saving energy right away. At the time I didn't notice that I almost fumbled that one on the line, but in this video you can hear how the announcer thought I wouldn't make it. Ice cold calculation or dumb luck, you decide. I have no idea what the scoreboard looks like at this point, but with now 10 points I'm probably right up there. With just 3 laps to go, there isn't much time to recover and I'm happy about this little break. One brave rider goes on the attack and I can understand. I've been that guy. It feels like the right thing to do when the field completely stops. And there goes another one. But look who's back from the dead. Jan is back on chasing duty, and with the field doing over 50 on the finishing straight, it's impossible for a solo rider to stay away, at least on our level. We go to the front for a moment, see that there's nothing to worry about and fall back again. And that was probably not a good idea, because just like 2 weeks ago, no one wants to be at the front with 1.5 laps to go. The field is bunching up, riders are squeezing through on my right, the pace is too slow and we are going 4 wide into the bottleneck. By now I'm also not fresh anymore and I feel a little unsafe here. And when the guy in front of me corners even slower than I expected, I take a shitty line, get shouted at, but luckily there's no contact and everybody stays upright. That was my wake-up call to move up again. I use my body weight on the downhill and I'm back at the front. One last sip and the bell rings for the final lap. This time I take the corner from the outside and make up a few places behind that guy in black. At the front everybody is just looking at each other, so I take the opportunity and move up with very little effort. Someone overtakes me on the outside and sends it through the last corner. We are already doing 50 on corner exit, but this is where I should have used my weight advantage for a long sprint. Instead, I noticed too late that I'm getting rolled, and by the time I get out of the saddle, it's already over. I do a little post up, but then remember that it's entirely possible I didn't win, which results in this very awkward finish photo. Turns out doing simple math at 180 BPM is hard, but eventually we figure out that I did it, just 1 point ahead of second place. Here are my Strava stats: almost 45 km per hour, 274 watts average and 313 normalized. No power PR, no lap record, just one good move and a lot of luck, and of course the best lead out ever. So 3 years after getting my first road bike, I finally won something, and now I have the whole winter to think about whether I should upgrade to the licensed category. What do you think? Am I ready, or should I do another season in the hobby field? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.